Okay, hello everyone. Nitehook here again. Just wanted to make another follow-up video based on my last video. And this is a few tips to queue ranked. And we'll be getting right into the tips from the very beginning. As you can see, I am looking at this scoreboard here, and now if you take a wild look at this, you would think the yellow team won, but they did not in fact win. In fact, it was us who won. And this would kind of tie into my first tip. And just for you guys, I'm going to make this into a whole replay so you can watch what I was doing this game while I give a voiceover. Let me know if this is a good, format or something. So anyway, let's get into the replay. So the first tip, stats don't really matter, you know? And this might blow some of your brains, but like they really don't. They matter just as much as I don't know, Fugazi. It doesn't really matter, it doesn't matter at all. What matters is you kill the right people at the right time and you kill them before they can do a lot of damage to your team, okay? That's the first tip. The second tip. Now this is specifically for queuing ranked, right? And that what I'm trying to say is each specific game doesn't really matter. Now, what I mean by this is that your trajectory is more important than your actual game wins and losses. It's very easy to like get caught up in the moment and just focus on each particular win or loss. Like, oh, I've lost 7 games today, or I've lost so many games recently, right? It doesn't really matter that much. What really matters is your overall trajectory. And your trajectory is based on whether or not you're improving or not, right? Obviously, it's very hard to understand in the very moment of things, but the best piece of advice I can give you to take away from here is to not get caught up over each game, okay? Moving on, the second advice, sleep. You would not believe it, but sleep is pretty important. If you're on 5 to 6 hours of sleep and you're trying to grind ranked and you're trying to go above the rank of master, it's hard, because these guys are unemployed up there. They really want to win. They're playing the game 5-6 hours a day, even 6-7 hours a day. But the thing is, if you go in there and you don't have enough rest, your reactions are going to be slow, your thinking is going to be muted, and you're more likely to, get tilted. Don't believe me? Look it up. It's based on science, baby. I might link an article in the description if you want to read that shit. Anyway, third tip, you gotta set limits for yourself. And what I mean by limits is like, there is only so much suffering the human brain can tolerate in the name of progress. What I mean by this is you gotta have a limit for when you go like, okay, you know what? I'm fucking done, bro. I ain't doing this shit. I'm gonna go do something else and I'm gonna come back to it. Okay? So my general rule is if you lose 3 games in a row, you take a break. It doesn't matter. You don't gamble for the 4th game to be like the most, jaw-clenching game of your lifetime. It's not gonna happen, okay? You don't gamble with that. 3 games and you call it, If you're a bigger pussy, go for 2 games and call it, I've seen some merit there, but 3 games, I feel like for me, it's a sweet spot, So, yeah. So anyway, 4th tip here. It's gonna hurt to hear, but if you're in plat, or if you're in diamond, okay, diamond is a separate case, but if you're in plat, you're only there because you're really shit at the game. And I mean this in the nicest way possible, Like, you're not there because your teammates are stupid, or like, your DPS are stupid, which are also your teammates, by the way. You're not there because your tank overextends and feeds a lot. Given enough of time, given enough data over a long enough event horizon, if you were stuck in, let's say, plat after 15-20 hours of grinding ranked in a season, right? of playing at least 60-70 games. I just hate to break it to you, but I think the issue is you there, you know? Like I was the issue right there. Like, what the fuck is my Lucio doing? Anyway, once you realize this mistake, once you realize this misunderstanding, this gives you a certain degree of freedom. Freedom in the sense that you have the freedom to completely, you know, take responsibility for whatever happens. Now, this is not saying that, you know, every game you lose is because you're dog shit. You know, some games you just lose because your teammates are just fucking goombas. It happens, okay? It's happened to me. It's probably gonna happen to you, you know? So it's very common. But the thing is, this kind of ties into the first point. Your overall trajectory matters, you know? If you're good and if you're playing above the rank of plat, you will get out of plat given enough games, you know? And if you're stuck in plat, it's because you're still making some mistakes, okay? As for diamond, there's some advice from my diamond 2, diamond 1 homies out there. And homies, you know, they're gender neutral. Diamond is a clusterfuck. I'll give you that, especially high diamond, because you will never need as many amount of goombas as possible. Okay, now this is the part where I recommend you get a duo, you know, because you're reducing the possibilities of goombas per annum on your team, and that's very important. You get a duo that has hands, you know, you don't want teammates with no hands. Once you reduce the risk of a lack of hands in your team, you make your life a lot easier. Bonus points if your duo has a sense of humor, you know, because this shit is like gallows humor. It's fucked, you know, but you have to get through it, especially if you only have one account. So, you know, you're only the takeaway here is you're only in your rank because you make the mistakes, okay? Yeah, except if you're Diamond 1, I really get it. You might actually be a GM player stuck in Diamond. I get it, bro. It happens, okay? Anyway, the next thing is a bit more optional. Don't do what I just did on Lucio. That's very obvious. Don't isolate yourself against a tank. But really VOD review your close games, right? Now, some games you're gonna have are very close, you know, like where teams are very evenly matched across skill levels. You know, this often happens in 5 stacks and stuff, but like, you know, it's doable. All I'm asking you to do is VOD review your games, you know? And if you do that, you help yourself understand immediately the things that you need to be addressing, right? Are you dead because the enemy team used an ultimate? That's value. I mean, ultimates are kind of hard to beat. Are you dead because you used the wrong cooldown too early or too late? Are you dead because you're in the wrong place at the right time? Like my previous stat, I died because wrong place, wrong time, you know, positioning. Is it mechanics, you know? These are 4 different categories, and I'm pretty sure this esports coach, Jane, came up with these back when I was gold. But these 4 categories are very useful to kind of classify your mistakes in, and then do like a sort of VOD review on. I can't really go too much in depth because we're about to win this map in case you haven't noticed. So I gotta move on to my other 2 tips. But if you'd like, I could make a video on VOD reviewing, you know, just let me know in the comments. Anyway, second last tip, volume plus consistency, okay? See, playing Overwatch is kind of like doing reps at the gym, you know? You play a couple of games, you know, you lose a few, you win a few, you're not gonna notice any improvements. You put in a couple of hours of thoughtful game where you're progressively overloading, and by progressively overloading, I mean applying yourself, you know, thinking about your actions, you know. You do that, you will start to see that improvement. You will start to see that line go upwards, okay? So, you know, Overwatch is not a very instant gratification based game. If you want to improve at this video game, it's gonna take a bit, you know? And you gotta be patient. You gotta keep your volume up so you're playing a lot, and you gotta keep it consistent. You're playing fairly often. You don't want to take too many breaks because you kind of lose out on that. But if you are burning out, that means you're acting like a whiny bitch every game you play. It's time you take a break, okay? I leave that up to your decision making capabilities, to be honest. Like, everybody knows when they're a whiny bitch, you know? You just need to have the presence of mind to kind of acknowledge that. Yeah, and this is coming up to my last tip, you know? I feel like in the lower ranks, a lot of people are very pressured to counter pick and to counter the enemy tank, the support, the DPS, so on and so forth. And that's valid, that's part of Overwatch. But when you do that, you kind of lose the depth you can build on one character. Now, for example, I have this friend, Lord Pillock, who only plays Reinhardt. He's a fucking Goomba, right? But this guy has insane amounts of depth on Reinhardt, you know? And like the insane amount of depth he has on Reinhardt actually gives him pretty decent game sense, you know, except for that shatter last fight. But, you know, if you play what you know and you focus on improving depth instead of improving flexibility, you will find yourself get really good on those characters. And it's very easy for you to see that too, because you have these new things like Hero SR, which, if I'm being honest, are just a bunch of participation awards. But yeah, you know, yeah, that's what it is. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys see this last fight, you know, see what happens. And yeah, and the C9. Okay, that was a very short last fight. Okay, anyway, if you guys liked it, let me know. If you didn't like it, let me know. And yeah, I'll see you guys in another month or so. All right, have a good one.